Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And on today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about, Sean Strickland. Now, this man is a UFC fighter, and the only skill he really has is the UFC fight. I'm gonna try to keep this as respectable as I possibly can because when somebody who is ignorant decides to open up his mouth about something that he really doesn't know anything about and says the most outrageous thing just to get, extremists out there to follow follow him, you kind of want to step in and clarify the misunderstanding and what's actually truth and what's actually false. And so Sean Strickland is somebody that has decided to step into the realm of talking about Islam. And again, keep in mind, this person is somebody who is agnostic. All right. He went through some childhood problem when he was young. And so because of that reason, he didn't really have a strong belief in God.
I mean, I remember like being a little kid, so I would always miss school because my dad would get home drunk, lots of drugs, pain pills all night long. I'm by like the feet of my mom. I remember like laying in bed. Like I remember I stopped believing in God, man. Like I had, yeah, it's crazy shit, dude. Yeah, crazy shit, man.
And so with that being said, after the attack that recently happened, right, he decided to hop on X and decided to bash Islam. And so my question really is, why Islam? When so many people on the internet were saying we don't know who this guy is. He's not a Muslim. But everything will start to make a lot more sense to you when you really start to see where the conversation was going to, with the whole Indian coming into America. Everybody was onto that, so they needed a way to distract you. They needed a way to get you to focus on something else. Meanwhile, they're probably signing bills to actually allow a bunch of Indians to come into the United States. And so, what's a really great example? They already hate Islam. They already want to make Muslims look bad as much as possible. So it's easy for them to blame everything on Muslims. I mean, it seemed like we didn't really learn anything from 9/11, to be honest. Fast forward today, after 2 decades later, we've now found out that 9/11 was, an excuse to pretty much invade the Muslim world. And so, again, it doesn't really surprise me that somebody like Sean Strickland will hop on the bandwagon of blame Muslim for everything. But every single time something happened, they always want to blame Muslim. It truly fascinates me when that's the case, man. And then he says it is not compatible with American freedom. I dare him to say something like that about the Jews and see what happened. Now, of course, Mama Hijab went ahead and replied to him. So Hamza is somebody that he fought. And of course, he got his ass beat. And, as we go on, he goes ahead and says, you have nothing against Islam or a Muslim. And yet, you go ahead and call us extremists and you call us the T word. And you have nothing against us. In Israel, they're bombing kids. They've killed over 40, not even 40. They're saying that they killed over 300,000 people. I don't hear you say a beep about that. Two assassination attempts on Trump's life, both by white people, by the way. You know what they claim it was? Mental illness. Oh, he was mentally ill. There's no reason that insane white person would do this. It's only insane white people that will do this. But if anybody who claims, even if they have the name Muhammad, although they're not Muslim, even if they have the name Muhammad, if they decide to slap somebody, oh my God. If they decide to do something extremist, oh my God. Where in the Quran do you know where it says, go ahead and cause corruption on the earth? You won't find it. Where in the Quran do you know where it says, go to people who are not fighting you and start them? You won't see it. Every single war that happened in Islam is either defense or offense. America decides that they want to take oil, they just come up with a reason, and then boom, next thing you know, They're in the country for 2 decades, killing innocent people. Anyway, so as it was going on, Sneako decided to respond to him.
In only 2 days, there have been 2 or 3 mass shootings. And it's always important to see the narrative the news runs with these stories. Because as soon as the conversation is fixated on something immediately pressing like Indian immigration to the West, the conversation immediately shifts to Islamic extremism out of nowhere. It's like when the Roman Empire used the gladiators to distract the population when they were at war. Whenever the population gets too much anxiety about one issue, the propaganda machine will do everything in their power to get you thinking about something else. And just like that, one rumor of the attacker in New Orleans being Muslim, and suddenly everyone's up in arms about Islamic extremism. But last year, when there were 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life from white men, not a single person said it was terrorism. They said they had a mental health problem. When an Italian Ivy League student guns down a CEO, it's mental health. They see people are scared about mass immigration, and suddenly everyone's saying free Tommy Robinson for no reason. That guy with a fake name, his real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who admitted he was guilty in contempt of court, is suddenly the face of nationalism and a political prisoner. This is a guy who publicly accused me of being funded by Iran to spread Islam to Western boys. Sneako is being funded by Saudi Arabia to spread Islam to Western youth, innit? Then out of nowhere, the political mastermind Sean Strickland is talking about how Muslims are not compatible to live in the West, saying that American values are Christ-like, even though Muslims believe that Jesus is the Messiah. We need traditional American values, and then says he's agnostic. But fear is weaponized against the populace so effectively that it always works. But regardless, this big, tough UFC champion, 60 pounds heavier, couldn't knock down a revert with no real training experience. Islam just means submission to God. And while we're all here, no one breathing is going to be able to stop that. The propaganda machine works so hard against people of faith like Christians and Muslims because they know that it's not going to be easy to destroy their traditional values. So they mainly use celebrities and media because the fans of those are the most easy to mind control. Just last night, 11 people were shot at a club in Queens and people were immediately talking about terrorism. People that blindly follow news are so brain dead, they don't read club in Queens and think, okay, this is a gang shooting. They see 11 shot and their brain's already filled with Islamic extremism and think terrorism. And it sounds ridiculous because it's like we learned nothing from 9/11. Even after we now know there were no weapons of mass destruction and this was mainly used as a tool to justify war in the Middle East, they know we're so stupid we fall for the same tricks every time. It doesn't matter that we know media events are weaponized against us. And it doesn't matter we all know the end times are coming. Most people will still fall for it. So the question now becomes, what do we do with this information? There's a globalist agenda being ushered in against the people's best interest to establish a new world order. We're all going to die, and if you zoom all the way out, our time in this world is really very brief. Perhaps we spend less time stressing about this life and instead in preparation for the next one.
So yeah, that's exactly what Sneako had to say about it. And he's right. He was 100% on the dot. It's crazy to me how every single time something happened, they always want to blame Muslims. If it's not Muslims, it's Christians. If it's not Christian, it's Muslim. But there's one group of people that are never ever mentioned. Ever. You be the judge on who these people are. I'm not gonna say it on here, but we all know who they are. We all know who they are. I speak about it a lot, but like I said, it's 2025. I gotta go ahead and take a whole different path now. I have solidified my position when it comes to my opinion based off of exactly what's going on. But all in all, Sean Strickland, all I gotta tell you, man, is like Mama Hijab said, Islam is about submission. We submit to Allah alone. Okay, we're not put on this earth to cause as much corruption and violence as much as possible. We don't do that. That's not in our deen. Our job is to coexist with many people as possible. Allah says in the Quran, if a group of people do not attack you, don't attack them. If you are in a war with them and they incline toward peace, you incline toward peace. We're not extremists. There's a group of people out there who are using Islam to make you focus solely on Islam. Meanwhile, they are the ones who are doing the real corruption. Just recently, I don't know exactly which country it was, but there were a group of people who got caught. I'm not going to mention who they are. I'm just going to say you be the judge. But focus on Islam though. Alright?